Have you ever won an award for photography?
No.
Never? Okay, I was going to say an award-winning photographer. Hold on, Bennett, 1 second.
My parents think I'm pretty. They
Okay.
Where you been and where you going? This is Ari's travel show, yeah. We're gonna talk about travel today. It's You Be Trippin, yeah.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to You Be Trippin, the travel podcast that takes you to interesting places around. It's not a travel guide. It is an experiential podcast. Today, I have on a woman I met in Paris, France at a Rolf Potts writing class, an accomplished photographer and an accomplished traveler herself. Please welcome Jasmin Shah.
Hi, thank you.
Jasmin, where are we going today?
We are going to the Camino de Santiago, specifically Camino del Norte in Spain.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I love a hike.
Yeah.
So I had not heard of this until Michelle Wolf told me about it.
Oh.
I didn't know anything about it, but it's pretty famous.
It's very famous.
Yeah.
It's been around for hundreds, thousands of years.
Whoa.
Yeah.
What is it?
It is a pilgrimage hike. It started as a religious hike, but it now I think maybe about only 15% of the people were. Oh yeah, is it?
I got a map here. So it's
Yes.
like from around here. It's from France into Spain.
Well, there's multiple versions that are. There's like multiple different routes, but
Okay.
So I picked anyway. So the normal was just the Camino de Santiago, and then I did the Camino del Norte, which starts in the Basque region and Irún, Spain, and it hugs the northern coast of Spain, and then the last week I go down into Santiago. They all end in Santiago de Compostela.
Okay. And so it's like, is the Norte and the Sur? Is that it? Are they the same amount of time?
There's the Camino Frances, which is what there was a movie with Martin Sheen. No, not Martin. Who's the dad?
Charlie Sheen? No.
Oh, Martin Sheen. It was Martin Sheen. Yeah. That he did called The Way, and that's the Camino Frances, and that goes from France and kind of more through Pamplona and
cool.
But it's more central, and the route that I did hugs the northern coast, and so you're seeing the coast the whole time, and it's really beautiful but also really hilly that I hadn't accounted for. Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah. I should also say, Jasmin is an accomplished photographer. I got to give people, especially when you're not a comic, I got to give people some credit so people take you seriously.
Yes.
But regardless, she's a traveler.
Yes, I am a traveler. I'm a nomad also.
Are you really?
Yes, I don't have a home.
Wow.
Yeah, I haven't had a home since July 1st, 2019.
Really?
Yeah.
Since before pandemic.
Yeah, awkward timing because that made it really hard.
Yeah.
But, and then I lived in a van for a year, sold the van this March, and then now I'm
really
back to traveling.
Go. Mostly only in America or everywhere?
The van?
No, I mean just nomad life in general.
So the nomad life started off with an international bent. So I was traveling all over, and then I was in Morocco actually up to March 14th, 2020, March 15th, 2020, when shit was going down with COVID. And so I hustled back to the U.S. because I just didn't know what was going on. And then, COVID figured I didn't have a house to stay in place at, so I just luckily had some friends who I was able to crash at their place, and then eventually I road trip all over the U.S. just in a rental car, and then I bought a van, had it built in my home, and then I lived in that for a year. Now I sold that, and now I'm back to international nomading.
You know what I understand? You ever hear somebody try to explain space to a kid, the infinity version of it, and they're like, it goes on forever, and then they're like, but what's after that? It just keeps going. You're like, and then what? There is no then what. It just keeps going. My thing with nomads is but where do you live? It's you don't. But there's a difference between that and just backpacking,
right?
Travel, right? Do you hole up somewhere?
I'm actually going in December, January. I'm going to Mexico City for 2 months, and that's going to be a pretty long stay for me, and I'm really looking forward to that. Just having a base.
Yeah.
It might be time for me to start figuring out a little bit of a base, but no, I've just been bouncing. And it's really great. Really tiring.
It is very, very cool.
But it's yeah.
But
that's what gives me time to go
Do
on
shit
a
like
walk
this.
for 5 weeks.
Yeah, I've always
Because
wanted
most
to do
people
this. Like,
don't have the time for that.
yeah, not at all.
Yeah.
That I want to go like that. Buy a bike in like southern Vietnam and then like sell it in northern Vietnam or vice versa. And it's like 3 or 4 weeks at a time. You got to like carve out.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this one.
Okay. Yes.
How long had you been thinking about this?
It had been. I'd heard about it probably like 10 years ago, so it was always there. But I think I hadn't had time for it and hadn't. But it was just like, oh, that like seems like an interesting walk. And yes, it started as a religious pilgrimage, but now it's like maybe 10-15% of people
Are doing
do
it for that
for,
reason.
Yeah, I didn't. It was mostly people who just felt like going for a long walk.
You know anything about brutalist architecture?
Yeah.
So there's these. No, they're not called Berlin. Something with a B. A husband and wife team, and they just photograph these like factories. They think they're just gorgeous. These factories, and they're works of art. And people ask them like, "What are they making there?" And they're like, "We don't give a shit. It's got nothing to do with why we like it."
Right.
It's like, oh, I liked Mexico. Like, well, how was it formed as a country? You're like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it now.
Yeah, it's so funny with these things too.
Yeah,
It's like, is it
yeah.
a pilgrimage? I'm like, I guess. I'm
Yeah.
not interested in the history.
No.
I mean, unless you know it.
No, I mean, I went to the museum at the very end and looked around, and it's
Yeah.
slightly interesting, but it was more about the walk.
Okay. So how many days? How long? Like, what are you prepared for?
Oh,
Were you a hiker ahead of time?
yeah, I like hiking. Oh, so I had known about it for a long time,
Okay,
and then 2 months prior, I had my grandmother died, my cousin died,
Congrats.
and I sold my van, and I just needed some time to walk it out and like
Yeah.
think and stuff. So, so then I just basically planned it. Like I had a month and a half before, and just kind of was like, you know what, I've got some free time ahead, and it was the end of May, June. Let me go do that walk, and then that's how that came about.
Look at this fucking idiot. I told you, it's always in and out. Such a fucking moron. Bandit, come on, dude. Go,
Come on, Bandit.
Go if you're gonna go. Sorry.
That's okay.
Up, come on. Up. Bandit, up. Do it. Yeah. What's up, buddy? Okay. First of all, this is awesome. The alone time is what I envy the most.
Yes.
Did you get? I mean, I could see people saying it'd be lonely, but I would be like, yeah, oh, it'd be so nice.
I mean, as a nomad, I am alone a lot
Yeah.
because I'm just out in the world away from friends and family. But I just really wanted to think, and so the Camino del Norte is a less traveled one than the Camino Frances.
Is that why you chose that one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I chose it because I wanted one, and also the coastal views. As a photographer, it just looked beautiful.
Yeah.
So I wanted that, and it just looked epic, but it also looked like many less people. And so until like some of the days when I wouldn't see a fellow pilgrim
You wouldn't see anybody?
for a whole day sometimes, and then I was like, okay, this might be like pretty lonely, or like this is like maybe a little more than I thought, but most of the time I would see other pilgrims, and you can always see people in like the locals in the bars and cafes that you're stopping at. But
So it goes through towns?
yeah,
Right,
it goes through
right.
towns. It goes through, and yes, I hike a lot, so that was easy. But you don't need a whole lot of technical skill to do this. It's just walking.
It's not like scrambling or anything?
There are a couple moments, but no. But you are carrying a heavy pack. You're carrying everything that you need for the whole entire time, which for me was 5 weeks, 515 miles.
515 miles.
Yeah.
Let's get back to it for a second. But like
Okay.
when you're done with this,
Yeah.
you must feel cool, right? I mean, you must feel like sick.
I felt accomplished, but honestly, I got kind of depressed after, because the thing that I'd been doing for 5 weeks that made every single day just like super, like wake up, brush my teeth, put on sunscreen, get my pack all sorted, get everything ready, and just like it's a matter of like how much am I hiking that day? Like usually between 10 and 22, 23 miles a day. And so that was all I had to do was just walk. And then once I finished, it was like, fuck, like what do I do?
What's your life now?
Yeah.
I think women get like that after childbirth, and then like
I wouldn't know.
men and women both get like that after a wedding, where it's
Also
like it's all
window.
geared towards this thing,
Right.
and then like, yeah. But then it's like, now what? You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
I get like that after I do a comedy special.
Yeah.
It's just like a depression of like, oh fuck, that's over.
Yeah. So it was very like, just obviously I felt fucking awesome when I walked into Santiago de Compostela and was like, I did it. Because I didn't know. There were some points where I really was unsure. My feet started. I really like screwed up my feet a little bit in the process. And so I wasn't sure if I was going to finish it.
Yeah.
So
You thought about quitting?
no.
Never.
I would. That's not my personality.
Yeah.
I wouldn't, unless like physically
You broke
I
a leg or
really
something.
fucked up my feet. But
Yeah.
I think I was okay. I just had to tape them up and like do
Yeah.
all the stuff to keep going.
Is this a specific time of year or just keeps going? It's not like a race.
No, and you start any day you want to start. Everyone starts whenever they feel like starting, and then you also can hike. Just like some people just hike a week of it. Or some
right.
people fly in, especially the locals or Spaniards, just will hike a week and then they'll go back to their job. And then the next year they'll hike the next week and do that.
Yeah. Oh, wow. And they're like starting to go back to that place they finished
Right,
and then
right,
like keep
right.
going like a video game.
Yeah. But I had the time, and also I am a very kind of like, I want to do the thing as it's supposed to be done.
Right.
So I did the whole thing.
I have so many fucking questions.
And solo.
And solo, right?
Yeah, yeah.
People do it together a lot.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't. I think I saw some people that were together. They're like, you're lucky.
Actually, let's take a side for a second.
Okay.
Tell the difference between solo travel and group travel.
I wouldn't really know much about group travel. I
Really?
very rarely do it. Most people don't have the time to travel like I do. I mean, obviously no one else is a nomad. I
Yeah.
have traveled with friends. I do have friends.
I always find it's just a thing of like every decision has to be by committee.
Yeah, I don't like
You can't
that.
just be like, "Oh, I'm going here." It has to be like, "Are you guys okay with this?"
Right.
Or like, let's say I'm like, "I don't feel like going today." Everyone's like, "We can all stop." You know, I'd be like, "No, you guys go. I'm just
Right.
my shins hurt."
Right.
And then it's just so annoying.
Right.
It is nice to be able to talk, but like,
I've had some amazing trips with friends, like going up to Ladakh in India, like with a friend, and just like this amazing kind of. We were up in the mountains and just like I just remember like laughing so much, and it was really fun.
Yeah.
You know, and then we have such these like shared experiences. So that trip was like a good trip. But I've also had some where it's just like you're just not quite vibing with each other, and it can get really stressful. I'm much more of a like.
Also, how do you walk away? If it's like
Right.
at home, if it's here in New York, and like we're like friends, and then we're just like, I'm not feeling you anymore or right now. You're just
right.
like, I'm like, no, I'm busy.
Yeah.
And you just don't have to talk. You
Yeah.
can't really do that when you're on a trip together. Like, what do you mean you're busy? We're here together.
Yeah.
You know?
My trick is I usually go for a run in the morning, and
Yeah.
then sometimes my run is just going to get a coffee and sitting quietly by myself.
And then throw water on your face. And be like, oh my God, I'm so worn out.
I'll bring you a coffee, though. I'll always bring a coffee back.
Yeah. So tell me more about this. Because,
Okay.
so so much I want to fucking talk. It's so cool. But like, I did a hike in Myanmar. And it was
Yeah.
like a 4-day hike. Some people were like, hey, this is the thing we all did. You know,
Yeah.
when you're like, hear from other travelers.
Right.
That's something cool.
Yeah.
Okay. I knew maybe 2 of the people and then met up, on a group. And then we realized one of my friends was on it from Austria. And she goes, they have these like hiker huts in Austria. And you just go up and stay up in the Alps. You hike from hut to hut to hut, 4 to 8 hours.
Okay.
It's different. It's not through towns. But then
Right.
we had this theory that there's like, and this one is probably the most famous one, the one you did.
Yeah.
That there are these super long multi-day hikes, the Appalachian Trail, Pacific Coast Trail. There's probably that everywhere.
There's
Probably
one
a
in
ton in
Japan.
China. There's one in
Yeah,
Japan.
That seems really interesting. Like Buddhist temples.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, what an episode so far, huh? Guys, you got to check out Jasmin's photos. They're amazing. They're really amazing. They'll take you places. She's on regular website, Jasmin Shah, JasminShah.com. And on Instagram, why don't you give her a follow? I bet we could double her follows right now. She barely has any. It's crazy. She's addicted to the art and not to the promotion. Jasmin Shah photo. on Instagram. I'm having a blast. I got shows coming up in Brisbane and Sydney. Then that's the end of my tour. Right now I'm on the Great Ocean Road. It's such a fun trip. You'll hear about all this trip. You'll hear all about this trip on the Patreon. This week's Patreon, patreon.com/You Be Trippin. That's it. Check out my special Jew. Check out Jasmin. Give her a follow right now. Let's get back to the episode. Oh, I heard vinyls. They're gonna up the amount of signed ones. The total made are still gonna be 1,000, but they figured out a way. So until the pre-order's done, you can get signed vinyls shipped to you, as well as the Shroomfest shirts, July 20th, 21st, 22nd this year. Stuff will all go out in July, probably first week of July, maybe second week. Grinders are also available, all at the website, arishaffir.com. Please tell me I was in this. I like to have fun, everybody. Fuck your studio. Back to the episode. Yeah, so like it's just this thing of like, I don't know, hiking from spot to spot, but this one is through towns. That's way different. So like, where'd you eat? How did you decide? Or like, what do you do?
So the thing that made this so appealing over like the Appalachian Trail or Pacific Coast Trail or any of that stuff is like, you get to stay, they're called albergues. They're essentially hostels, but they're for pilgrims, or sometimes they're just like normal hostels, or towns, and then there's actually hotels and whatever, but you don't have to ever camp. So you're not like carrying all your shit. You don't have to carry your food or a stove.
Or a
like,
sleeping bag.
Or you carry a sleeping bag because some of the, I actually have like the silk sleep sack thing and then like a little blanket that I carry.
Yeah, we
that
did
was
those
really
in
small.
Austria.
Yeah, and that was enough for me for the timeline that I was there. It wasn't super cold. It was actually really hot most of the time, so that was fine. So then you have these albergues that are like anywhere from donation based or to like 20, 25 euros a night. But you're in a bunk, room with a bunch of other pilgrims. And some are, you can reserve ahead, but some are, you just like walk up, which, and then
Unsettling? Were you like, are they going to have a space?
Yeah. I didn't like that. I think my being an American thing like started to make kind of hard. And also you're walking a lot. I didn't want to be fucking tired. And then they're like, you got to go to the next town. I'm like, no,
yeah, like,
I don't want to go to the next town.
I already
I'm
pushed
done.
it. I did push it.
Yeah.
I should have stopped an hour ago.
There was one day that I really was just like pushing. I had chosen sometimes there was multiple routes on the way, and I had an app that kind of like gave the way. And I always chose there's sometimes be like a little easier inner one that would be on roads, and then there'd be a coastal version, so you were really on the coast, but you were on trails sometimes, and then you're going up and down constantly. And I chose that one day, and it was so beautiful, but so fucking high. I was just like, I think I cried that day.
Really?
Yeah. there was multiple days. It was like crying because of just exhaustion.
Yeah.
And like, will I make it? And then I finally got to this.
I mean, what is this
You're
thing?
building really parts.
What? I don't understand what it is. Yeah.
And then just being stressed, like, will I make it? Will I get a bed? I don't know. Because that particular town, there wasn't many options. So I was, usually if the albergue is sold out, you could find something else, or, that just involved spending a little more money, which I was fine with. But, yeah, after that, I started kind of reserving ahead just because it would, unless like some of the albergues said they had 100 beds, I was like, well, I know I'm good.
Fine.
It's fine. I don't think I'm like worried. But if it's like 30 beds, that's stressful. And I don't want to have to go really fast walking. I want to go slow and stop.
You don't want to be able to show up late at night and just go in.
Not even like late, but just like if I see
a
cool, so also you don't have to bring any food. You just stop at the bars and cafes in Spain. So you're in Spain. It's like really good food. And
rural
so
Spain.
Some rural, sometimes cities, like you go through everything. You're just, 550 miles, you're walking through everything.
Yeah.
So I would get up and then get ready and head out and then go to find my first little, usually, they just call them bars. They start drinking pretty early there, but you can also get coffee. So I would get a cortado and then a little bite to eat, usually tortilla española, which is egg and potato, and then have that, start walking, usually hit and get another cortado somewhere along the line, and then after that switch to beers.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
I'm
fun.
walking really slow, so it
Yeah.
was fine. It was like, it's nourishment. And then get a sandwich. I mean, I really...
It's carb loading too.
Yeah.
It's like, it is carby.
I was like, I'm walking. That's fine.
Yeah.
I wouldn't like have multiple, at a location. It would be like one and then go. And then I never really brought food with me. I very rarely had even food in my pack because I always felt fairly confident I would be able to find something. There were some days that were longer stretches, and I would bring
bars.
Food. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or, nuts and fruit and whatever. Sometimes I would have like some jamon and some bread and make a little sandwich for myself on the way.
Cool.
Yeah.
Was language an issue?
I don't speak Spanish very well. I speak a little bit. I was trying to learn more.
Yeah.
I don't know if you travel a lot. I just have it. It doesn't bother me to not be able to communicate always like perfectly. I feel like I'm pretty good at miming and like getting through or being okay with like. I can get through like my basic necessities like food, bathroom, water, all of that. So if you can do that, then...
Do you learn any words when you go to places like that or other places?
Yeah, I mean, I try to learn.
I try to do 1 through 3, please, bathroom, food, just food. I don't have to go to a restaurant or whatever, just food. And then like, where is?
Yeah.
And then please, thank you. Yeah. But like, that's enough to get by with miming.
Right.
Like that's enough.
Right. Yeah. I've started to learn, like I'm full. Weirdly enough, because sometimes locals want to just like keep feeding you. That's
a good word.
I had never left the U.S. until I moved to Japan when I was 25. Much like Rolf, I think, was like he had moved to Korea.
Yeah.
And one of the first things I learned and still remember is onakai pai, which means I'm full, because they would just like keep feeding you.
Oh wow!
And then after just getting back from India, it's bus was the.
Enough.
Like, enough.
That's so funny. Israel do it too. And then you're like, if you're like, I can't, like, you're not going to finish on your plate. You're like, it's my third helping. Why don't you put more on my plate?
Yeah.
And they just get so mad at you.
Mm-hmm. So, but that they generally get impressed. If you can say it in the language, then they're like, oh, respect. Okay. Then you can be done.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, I was able to communicate enough. I would get frustrated sometimes. I mean, I would want to talk, especially on the days when I wouldn't see any pilgrims. It would be nice to like communicate a little bit more with locals, but like in the Basque region they would speak Basque, and then which that I didn't know at all. And then
that's right, in Spain they speak like 3 different
multiple
languages.
dialects, or languages. Actually Basque is like different than
what do you speak in Barcelona? It's something else.
Catalan.
Yeah, it's like related. Like cousin-y.
That one's more related. Basque is not related at all.
Wow.
I actually did learn some words in Basque because you're walking slowly, and so you're going through the region. It's not like you're there for a day. You're there for like a week and a half. So it was.
Yeah, you know what I like about travel is like what's Spain like, and you're like, it depends where. You know, it's like I'm saying, what's America like? And you're
right.
Like, what are you talking about?
Right. It's wildly different.
Yeah, the language is different. That's nutty.
Right. And then at the end, I was in Galicia. That's also a different language. So
yeah, what surprised you about this? Like, what kind of things were you like not expecting at all that were like, oh?
What surprised me?
Maybe you were super prepared. I don't know.
No, I wasn't prepared. I think I didn't. I was prepared and. I really didn't know what was going to happen. I just didn't have, I was prepared for like not knowing what the fuck I was doing.
Yeah.
So I was just prepared in that, I was just going to go and see. I can't think of what surprised me.
Anything disappoint you? You were hoping for that you didn't get to see or get to, I don't know.
No huge like stories for me, or like I was hoping maybe I might meet some people that would be, I've seen this was like something I've seen some people talk about, like their Camino friends that they But I
Kept
also
saying it over and
realized,
over again?
yeah, which I actually made some friends. My friends, I did make some friends, and I have that, but I didn't have where I joined and then just like had this like immense bond. But you know why? Because I wanted to walk alone.
Yeah.
So that was my fault too, is I would shy away from the larger groups of walking and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it's a give and take when you want to do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. The way you did it was you're a photographer.
Yes.
So I remember when you talked to the class about it in Paris, it was like that you wanted to get back to like real film. Mm-hmm. Like talk about that a little bit, like your relation to film and this trip.
Yeah, so I'm a photographer, and when I first started photography, I started in film, but it's been 17, no, even more than that. It's been a very long time since I've shot with film.
It's all digital?
It's all digital.
Oh, wow.
And I just knew I wanted to photograph because it makes me, I know it would bum me out to not have a camera, even though I wanted this to not be like a work trip necessarily or make it like all about photographing. So I thought about like back to my roots of photography, and the first camera I ever used was a Pentax K1000, and I thought, let me just take that and take film. And then I also took a Holga for fun, which is square.
What's a Holga?
It's a plastic camera. It's kind of like a toy camera. It's really light, but it's medium format and square images, and it kind of has this like dreamy quality about it because there'll be light leaks and all this stuff. So I brought that, but that meant I brought like 35 rolls of film and 2 cameras, which ended up adding quite a bit of weight to the back.
Yeah.
And you can't like, once I would shoot the film, I mean, I have to keep carrying it, so there's no way to like offload anything. It's just like I was carrying it. So that was but that's on me. I'm just used to always having to carry a lot of.
This is the problem with souvenir taking on like long trips, where it's like really the only way to do it. I remember I got this in Myanmar and then hiked around until I think I went to Thailand after Myanmar. And I'm like, what the fuck do I do? It's just taking up room.
Right.
You have a backpack and that's it, and it's just taking up room. And then eventually I was like, oh, I gotta find just a post office.
Right.
And like send it home the slowest way possible.
Yeah.
It seems like that might be the only way to do it. Is like I gotta get rid of this along the way.
Yeah,
but
with film, I got a little like that would just kill me. It can go through sensors and stuff like that. I just didn't want to do that. So,
hi everybody. Today's episode of You Be Trippin is brought to you by Sheath Underwear. Guys, Sheath Underwear has come with me to the most exotic places in the globe. Yeah, I asked him for a pair before I went to Guatemala. Did not realize there was tons of hiking to be had in Guatemala. He quickly sent me, I was in Dallas, I was going straight from there. He quickly sent me 4 pairs, and they came in quite handy, separating your balls from your taint, allowing you to hike as much as you want without much chafing, if any. And right now, listeners of You Be Trippin get 20% off your order at sheath.com. That's right, 20% off your order at sheath.com if you go right now. The owner's cool, lets me do fun shit. For real, guys, I am wearing these underwear right now. I wear them constantly. It's pretty much the most widely used underwear in the comedy community. I got the fucking whatever ones. Oh, there you go. Sheath Underwear. Shop online and support this podcast and get yourself a great fucking pair of ball huggers at sheath.com. 20% off your order if you act right now.
Promo code Ari.
Use your promo code.
Promo code Ari.
I'll see you later. It's possible that it's sheath.com.
Promo code Ari.
Try both.
Promo code Ari.
So I just kind of carried it and dealt with it. And it was a really interesting experience too to shoot with film again instead of digital, because for so many years and working, I would, if I see one thing I want to photograph, I'll take a picture, I'll look at it, and I'll be like, oh, and I'll like take a bunch more, or like check. And now it was like, if I saw something, I would take a picture, and then there was nothing to look at, nothing to compare, nothing to know if I got it or not got it. I just like would put it back in my waist pack and then not think about it. It was like a really nice gift to myself to just like shoot it, and then I'll see in a couple weeks if it's good or not.
Yeah, there's a thing now. I mean, you've been traveling so long.
Yeah.
When did you start? A year-ish, to like traveling and getting lost.
Like first international was 2001.
2001.
Yeah.
Pre-cell phones.
Yeah.
Smartphones.
Yeah.
So like the difference between, you must have seen a change in hostels or wherever.
Oh,
the
yeah.
difference between like people being able to connect versus not. And then the taking the picture and the constant taking pictures, unlimited film versus limited film.
Right.
I see this all the time in New York or anywhere. There'll be a cool shot.
Yeah.
Roses or something like that. And you see people, they're almost embarrassed to take the picture because as soon as they get it, they walk off. And you're like, literally stop and smell the roses. But they can't do it.
Yeah.
This seems so freeing the way you did it.
Yeah, it was great. It was a nice, like, I wanted it also as maybe it would make me think differently when I got my digital camera back and was working, just like thinking about it. Because I had a limited amount of film and I had a very long walk ahead of me. So I also had to kind of judge like how many photos can I take a day. So I started off taking a lot of photos and then I was like, whoa, I got to be careful because I might like blow through the film.
Yeah.
And then I like went a week where I took hardly any photos because I like pulled way back. And then I kind of got into a groove after that where I could just like, and basically what I chose to photograph was just like, what am I seeing? What do I want to remember? What is interesting to me? And not always like the most epic photograph. I mean, I would inherently try to make it interesting of a photograph, but it was just like whatever just like made me curious.
Look, what type of stuff would you be into? Like faces.
But I did less of that. I don't know. There was something less portraits than I normally do. That's normally what I photograph. But more just kind of landscape, people's like houses, laundry on a line, beautiful light,
That's cool.
Beautiful, like the hay, the huge bales of hay, which I will always, if I smell this smell again, I will be taken right back to the Camino. It's the smell of hay that's been sitting for a really long time. It's this like weird, sweetly fermented smell that's like kind of unpleasant, but also really nice. It's a very specific smell that was like almost every day I would smell it along the way.
Is it farmland there?
Yeah, there was a lot of farmland and.
Yeah, you ever drive through like a cow patch and you're like, ew, but like.
Yeah, so sometimes it'd be like mixed with manure, which wasn't great. But sometimes it would just be the hay, but it was very like a sweet fermented smell of hay. So I took some pictures of hay.
Have you smelled that since?
No.
You have not?
No. I haven't been any farmland
If you
since.
get one of those like smells immediately take you back somewhere else.
That one I know. Like that one will take me back. So.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, these pictures are a cool way to like remember, and it's like, what do you take? And the idea of like, I only get one shot at this, seems like it'd be way freeing. Instead of taking like, on my phone, it's always like 7 of almost the same shot, trying to like get it perfect.
And then they're like the same, and sometimes even I'm a photographer, and I can like sometimes see the difference between photos. I was like, why did I like take that many photos of that one thing? It's like whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, I was actually going to ask you about the smells.
Oh, yeah.
That's interesting. How much does this cost?
Well, it costs nothing to do. I mean, just to be on the trail. You're just hiking or walking.
So it's just really hotels instead of a hotel. Like, where did you start? What city did you start in?
Irun.
So let's say you're hanging out in Irun. It's just like you're either in a hotel there or you're in a hotel 9 miles away.
Right.
And then 8 miles from there. And then 4 miles. And 6.
Yeah,
It's just hotels.
Yeah. Or albergues.
Hostels or whatever.
Yeah.
So that cost is the same.
Right. And actually, so I would stay in albergues, which were pretty inexpensive. But then sometimes it's hard, I don't know, staying in bunk beds with like a whole bunch of people.
Too, right?
Yeah. And you're really tired. So I started looking in occasionally to solo rooms, and they would be like sometimes 40 euros. And I was like, you know what?
Go for it.
I'm gonna go with that. Like, and your own bathroom, and then you can, because I was washing my clothes every night in the sink.
Yeah.
Just be really nice. Like, you just like go in the room, like strip, wash all your clothes, like shower, relax, like just be like, no backpack, no nothing. Then get ready, go out. It was just more pleasant. No people snoring.
Yeah.
You know.
Did you ever have any of those super long beds where it's just like You just like your spots from here to here. They just like put pillow, and so you have to get up like towards the foot of your bed.
Yeah.
And you can't like sleep with your elbow out because you'll just be elbowing somebody.
Wait, you were like
It was
with
just a
someone...
long, like a 30-foot long mattress.
Oh.
And they're just like they put
I didn't
8
have
pillows
that.
up.
No.
Oh really?
No.
I was the worst one, and you're like, there's nowhere to like not hit somebody.
No. I had that where it's like a long bed where, I felt like maybe there was one where it was like here, but it's just like one really long mattress, but twin size. And so then one person's here, one person's in the middle, and then one person's at the end. So it's like feet. Who do you want the feet by your head, or do you want?
Oh right.
Yeah. But I'm 5'2", so that's not too much of a problem for me.
Oh right.
Yeah.
Did you feel safe at all?
Oh
or
yeah.
Unsafe?
Never unsafe. Did I ever feel? No. I travel all over, generally by myself, so I have a pretty good sense of like what to do and not to. I've never really never had anything bad happen. So, and this is just walking. I mean, obviously, there's like shit could go down if there's a horrible person on the trail, but you're just walking. I felt really like everyone was. The locals that you'd pass through the towns, everyone was really nice. Like, I wasn't sure. Like, maybe they'd be annoyed by these pilgrims, but they're very used to it. It's what's been happening for hundreds of years.
Yeah, right. So it's like not weird for somebody to be going through there.
And it's
even though feel it.
You're spending money, so that's good too. But no, I felt safe. And yeah, so the cost is, the cost of your albergue or hotel or whatever.
25 to 40.
Yeah.
Not much.
Or like 0 to 40, because if you stay in albergue, that's donation. Not 0. I probably give 20 there. So 5 to, I think the cheapest one was €5 to 40. And I was there in Europe while the dollar was just getting stronger and stronger to the end, where it was just the same. So
we're in Paris.
ideal.
It was like,
yeah,
people were like,
it was great.
It's actually not this cheap. You just think it's cheap.
Yeah.
And it was so cheap.
Yeah, it was nice.
Not crazy like Asia or like Latin America, but like really nice meals for like $6. Like you couldn't even come close to that in New York. I know this is an expensive town, but like yeah. I love it.
And then like the coffees, a cortado would be €1.50.
Oh, great.
So breakfast would be maybe with the tortilla español. Breakfast would be €3 to €4. Sometimes I would throw in some orange juice.
Awesome.
Like slash out.
Awesome.
And then lunch would be, a bocadillo, which is a sandwich. Dinner, also food was pretty inexpensive. Spain is pretty inexpensive compared to even Paris. So that was not bad. Occasionally you would have like the good lunch deals that you would get, the starter, the main,
almuerzos?
and
Like set almuerzos? Do they call them that?
That's lunch. Yeah, maybe.
There was in Ecuador, that was the term for a set meal was just lunch.
Okay.
It was like almuerzo, but it's like tienes almuerzo. It meant like, do you have the lunch deal?
Oh yeah.
And they were like $2.50, $3.
It was more than that, but it would be like €10 to.
Lots
I
of
think to €18 was like a really fancy one, but also included like wine.
Wow.
I did do one time. I walked with a woman and we got a really fancy lunch, like a set, and had wine, and that was the rest of the hike that day. Was a little rough because it was like a really big lunch and like wine. Split a bottle of wine and then walked 10 more miles, and that was like oof. But it was also one of the most enjoyable meals because it was nice to sometimes share that.
Yeah. What other type of person was on this? What were the other pilgrims like? Were they from?
So it started off, I felt like I saw a bunch of people from the States, and I was kind of like, I didn't want to see that.
Yeah.
But then I took a couple-day break because I had, years ago, I was in a car accident and hurt my back. And carrying the backpack triggered, like it flared up the one spot on my back. So I had to take a couple-day break. And so that kind of got me off the timeline of who I'd started the first couple days with. And so then I was a different timeline of people. And then it was like I didn't really see Americans for, like I got off this, I don't know why it would have been that I was on this. It was just like random. But then I was with mostly Europeans. And that was better.
Cooler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like I don't want to talk to people from. Yeah.
I had a picture of myself in maybe Myanmar.
Yeah.
And I remember posting some comments like, it's a lot of white people. And I'm like, yeah, but they're Germans and fucking,
Right.
you know, and like English people. It's still like you meet other travelers.
Right. Yeah.
You talk about like, how much vacation time do you get in Australia? You know, it's
Yeah,
just, like,
you're
more
learning
interesting
about other cultures. It's
while in a third culture.
Yeah. So, and then, a lot of Spaniards, a lot of, I became friends with these two Italian guys.
Are those ones you had a picture of?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That we just kept running into. We talked a bunch at an albergue. So I would go sometimes to the solo. Once I got a taste for like getting my own room, I was like, this is really nice.
Yeah.
So, but then because I was by myself, that would just be like walking all day and then being by myself at night. And I'm okay with that, but sometimes I would just get a little too lonely, you know, and it
You're
was
an
like
introvert? You don't know.
an introverted, introverted. I don't know, whatever. I'm both, but I definitely need my time alone to recharge. That I definitely
They say
need.
regardless of what you are, it's just like you need a certain amount of alone time and a certain
Right.
amount of like
I
party
need more
time.
alone time than together.
Right.
Yeah.
But then at some point you're like, hey, it might be after 2 months, like I gotta have a conversation.
Yeah.
It
No,
might
mean
be
is like after
4
a couple
hours,
days.
but what? Yeah. And
couple
then you're
days.
like,
Yeah.
that's when I always get the most social.
Yeah.
I'm super lonely and
Yeah.
I'm not able to just talk to strangers.
Yeah.
But after being so lonely, it's like you just sit down with people like, where are you guys
Yeah.
from? And
Yeah.
I'm like, this is how people really normally are? Just friendly? It feels so cool.
Yeah. No. And that's the nice thing about the Camino is that if you see someone with a backpack, you can just talk to them.
You know they're doing that thing.
And you have this shared thing you can talk about. That was the other depressing thing about finishing. And I was back to being solo, but without any reason to just talk to a stranger.
Oh.
And I was like, I'm just going to be back to being alone again, which it's okay, but intense sometimes and harder for me. I get nervous about like approaching people, but the Camino made it really easy. And that was a nice thing.
What do you think about this? I have this theory that I've never really done. When you see at the airport, you'll see somebody that's a backpacker.
Yeah.
It's like a hosteler.
Yeah.
You know, they have
Yeah,
the
yeah,
big
yeah,
backpack,
yeah.
maybe the yoga mat, sleeping
Yeah.
mat thing. And just like they have stories. So just be like, where you been? Tell them about someplace cool. And they'll
Yeah.
just start sharing. Mm-hmm. But I never do it, but I always wanted to.
Yeah.
Was there any like romance shit or not really? No.
No, that was maybe one of my disappointments. I was like,
That you thought maybe.
that
Yeah. Some Spanish fling for two stops.
yeah.
Yeah.
No. But it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It would be cool. Something
yeah.
about being gone where you're like, it just makes everything like ups the romance of the, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. What were the toilets like?
Fine. Always. I mean, it's Spain. It's like,
Sit down?
yeah. Yeah.
Flush? Toilet paper?
Flush, toilet paper. Yeah. All.
Not throw away toilet paper?
No.
Flush.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I think that's just Latin America mostly.
Really?
I think so.
Asia also.
Or Asia. Yeah.
And like Middle East. I think it's a lot of places, but I don't know.
Yeah. Well, not Europe, I guess.
Yeah.
I've not encountered it in Europe. Yeah, I'm trying to think. That was always pretty easy. I wasn't a fan of the shared bathrooms in the albergues. Like it was, the stalls. I mean, that's just like hostel stuff too, but it's
Yeah.
just like you're like so tired and you're trying to like balance your stuff and like wash some stuff and then
Yeah.
there's just like some old German dude walking around in a towel and you're like,
I also hate taking like a real dump with people walking by that I have to face. Mm-hmm. You know,
yeah.
it's just like embarrassing, and especially if like it's not up to you how it's gonna smell. And sometimes they smell worse than others. And if somebody's like, "Oh," I'm like, "Damn it!"
Yeah, in Spain actually. So with the bathrooms, there are usually like it's just unisex. Like sometimes you walk in and it'll be a shared bathroom, and there'll be one stall for women, one stall for men, but they're like right next to each other. So that is a little like,
Yeah.
as far as that.
Yeah. Also, if I was a chick, I would not want to be next to a dude dump. It's like, this is one of the things that makes you guys better than us. It's like,
Well, we do shit, but
yeah, but it's not that horrific, ungodly smell that a man can achieve. Like, what are you rotting from the inside? Yeah. What did you have anything that you're like, if you had to tell somebody what to do? I want to hear like what you do different, and we're like, oh, you gotta see this spot, or you gotta get some of these like sandwiches, or like,
Yeah.
not even specific spots, but it sounds like the cortados are really cool.
Right. I mean, don't carry too much. Like, you really need very little stuff, and so it's just like 2 shirts, 1 long sleeve shirt.
2 shirts.
Yeah.
Yeah, you wash it at night, right?
Yeah.
Would you dry it on your back?
Dry it like hanging on the bunk bed at night or whatever, and then if it wasn't dry by the morning, you'd pin it to your backpack and dry it while you were walking in the sun. I had a pair of pants and a pair of shorts, and I had like a dress that I would use and wear at night after I'd showered and when I was washing my other clothes, and then I think 3 pair of underwear.
Yeah.
4 pairs of socks.
Why 4 pairs of socks? Did you double up?
Sometimes you would change. Yeah. Oh, I got pretty bad blisters. So yeah, you were. And then.
Your hiking boots or shoes?
They were hiking shoes.
Okay.
And then.
What'd you get? What are they?
They were Hoka's, but I actually ended up leaving those at a hostel somewhere along the night and swearing at them. I bought new ones. I really did not like them. They did not serve me well.
Hoka's.
Yeah. No.
Could you? That's another thing. Can you like re-up stuff? Like you completely tore something. Could you like you could?
Yeah,
because
you're passing through some of the. You're passing through like I passed through Bilbao. That's a really big city, and then I passed through Gijón. That was another big city. So you're passing through like, and they have pharmacies everywhere, so you can just go stop at the pharmacy for whatever you need.
If you have a cold, you can be like get cold medicine.
Yeah,
So
you don't need to bring any of that. And it's all the same stuff. It's not.
Do you get? I always get beholden to the shit I have, so it's like way better to not have it because I'm like I can't drop it, and so I carried around 2 pairs of jeans through the hottest region in the world.
Yeah.
And so eventually I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? And she's like, here's one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds way smarter just to like not have to be beholden to it, and it's like if you need it, you'll just find it.
Right, and yeah, you can buy clothes, or I did stop. There was a Decathlon as a store that's like a kind of REI of Europe, and so I think at one point I was like, oh, I'd rather have like a tank top, so I bought that, and like a little, I forgot what I bought. Some other little things, but you can buy them along the way and whatever I felt like I needed.
Do you have period issues? Sorry.
Yeah.
But like, is that an issue for hiking?
I mean, as a woman, yes, it happens.
Yeah.
But you can buy tampons along the way and whatever. And then I think I just left the remaining supply at a hostel along the way. And I was like, I don't
donate.
I don't want to carry this along. I don't need it until I need it again. And then when I need it again, I'll just stop at a pharmacy.
There's almost no chance you're going to get a new period a week later.
No.
it's like
no.
I'm fine.
No. So I was like set for the rest of the hike. So I was like, done.
Cool. Very cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So bring very little, be open. Don't, I did start booking ahead sometimes just because I wanted to, but I would only do like a day or 2 ahead. I wouldn't be booking, like some people had like their whole thing booked out, and that just seemed like if you're having an off day and you feel like going less, you don't want to like force yourself into having to walk so far, or you like meet some people and you're like, I want to hang in the hostel they're in, or like just like hang out in the town they're going to be in. Or you're like, I want to be ahead of them because I don't feel like hanging out. Yeah. Or just like, I never had anywhere where I don't like, but I was just like, maybe I just want to like get ahead.
Mm-hmm. Could you go away from the Camino a little bit and then back in, like off the route, then back? You know what I mean? Like do a little detour.
Yeah, but that would have involved walking more.
Yeah, right.
So, I mean, I generally stayed on the Camino. I think one day I walked from the route to dinner, and it was an extra like 3 miles round trip. But it was to this town that was so cute and beautiful that it was worth it. But
along the way. Why? What was cool about it?
it was like this old fishing village that the houses were built up on the side and they were colorful, and it was just a really beautiful village, but you had to go down this big hill that I was like, fuck. After dinner, I had to go back up it, but I was by myself. I had got a room by myself.
Did somebody tell you about this place?
Someone had mentioned it, and then I checked. I was like, oh, that looks pretty cute. And then I realized where I was staying wasn't too bad, and I wasn't feeling trash that day. You know, some days you're just like, no, I'm not doing anything. And then some days I had a little more energy, and it seemed appealing to go explore. Because also, like, when am I going to be in this random town somewhere on the north coast of Spain to have time to go to this? So I walked to it. But yeah, usually I didn't go too far off because you'd be really tired.
Could you get in a car? Did you get into any automobiles or any, like, during this whole time? Because I imagine, like, let's just say I'm hiking through America and I get to like New York,
right?
And I'm like, I want to go uptown. I'm like, why get in a cab and then keep walking to Boston?
Yeah. No.
So you'd walk everywhere.
Yeah.
Damn, interesting.
Yeah. You just get so used to just walking that you just then walked. And it just, which has been nice since then, to just, once you see on a map how far you can walk, you're like, well, I can walk to my friend's house, or I can walk, like what?
When I go to LA, I do that. People are like, let's pull over. I'm like, what's wrong with you? I'm like, go on to fucking Whole Foods. I'm like, you want to ride? I'm like, it's 20 minutes.
Yeah.
It's like my
people
subway
don't
stop.
like it.
It's the same thing. They're like, it's like you're attacking us by doing it.
Yeah.
What's the farthest you went any day?
I think 23 one day miles was
pretty much a marathon.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. That day was long. I did a couple in the 20 to 23 range towards the end. I started to be like, okay, let's get this done. This, like, in a good way, but like, let's get this kind of going. Yeah. But it was usually probably more, and like, I think a really happy, good day was like 14, 15. I still liked it to be a good, solid walking day. I didn't like the too short days sometimes, especially if you're by yourself, if you didn't have anyone to hang out with. You're like, what are you going to...
Just go hard.
Yeah, like, what if there's not much to do in the town, then you're just kind of like hanging out, like drinking another beer in a bar, which is fun, but I would rather like spread out a really long walking day, be tired at the end of the day, have a nice dinner, go to bed, wake up.
You sleep well?
That. Yeah. I mean, that was generally pretty easy because you're so tired.
You're so tired, yeah. Did you walk at night, or were you done by nightfall?
Well, in Spain, I think the sun rose at like 6:30, 7 a.m. But it didn't set until like 10 o'clock at night. So there was never any danger of walking at night. Honestly, I rarely saw night. I felt like I would generally be like winding down by the time it was getting dark.
In Paris.
Yeah, it was like really...
oh, yeah, it stays like 9:30, 10.
Yeah. But there were some really foggy days. There was one day where it was super foggy. I love the mornings. I love waking up relatively early. And then there's very little to get ready in the morning. Get ready, go, start walking. And it was just like, there's something about morning. It's just like so peaceful and quiet, and you're out there by yourself. And but one day it was really, really like fog had rolled in off the coast, and I was taking this path, and I couldn't really see where I was going. I mean, it was like pea soup fog or whatever, like you really can't see in front of you. And I heard the water, and I finally like got close enough. I looked down, and I was on the edge of the cliff, and there was like the water below.
Whoa.
And it was like 2 feet from me. Yeah. So that was like the closest to kind of That was like
Danger.
my major
Damn.
danger day.
Were there any animals that could catch at you?
There was cows and horses. You would just be walking through
No
people's
attacky animals.
No
Okay.
no attacky animals. But that day, so the foggy day, I
Damn.
was like about to then like I was like, oh shit, like, you know, trying to move in from that, but like still hugging. I had to like hug that was the closest to the trail I could get. So just being really careful not to get too close to the cliff, but like I was about to send a text to my friend with like my location, which would have been a really shitty text to send. Just be like, hey, if you don't hear from me anymore, this is where I fell off the cliff. But at that moment, I heard some people talking, and it was my Italian friends. And that's kind of what,
guys.
like, yeah, that's what made us like really friends after that, was because I like went running to them and gave them a big hug. And then we stuck together after that. They were like, come with us, you know. And then then after that, we would walk together most days. But like for 1 week, I kept running into them. And then they took a different Camino route. So.
Oh, really?
They took there's like one route that starts in the Norte, and then it's called the Primitivo, and it goes into the mountains so it diverts inland through mountains, whereas I stayed on the Del Norte, which I stayed on the coast until I had to go south into Camino de Santiago.
Is Santiago a party?
Yeah, it's it's Santiago de Compostela. It's kind of chaotic. It's like really crowded.
Crowded full of locals or finishers?
Finishers, and then just like it's a popular tourist city too. I didn't really love it. I kind of got there after like being solo and really quiet, going in, you know, it was amazing to walk in to the cathedral and be like, I did it.
That's the spot. That's the...
Yeah. That's what but then after that, it was like, I felt like a little overwhelmed with the amount of people.
Yeah, I bet, especially for like seeing almost nobody or
Right,
rarely to suddenly being overwhelmed.
Right. Yeah, actually, in the last 100 kilometers of the Camino, so you have to walk, the whole time you're walking, you have something called the little, it's like a little passport. There's a word for it, and I'm forgetting it right now. But you're getting stamps along the way to prove that you're doing this. So you're all the little bars that you're stopping at, all the little albergues, everything. So you get a stamp. And
Like
so
a Facebook check-in?
Yeah.
Or whatever?
But it's like a stamp on it, and it looks like a passport.
Hey, cool.
And so you have it as this thing. But for the last 100 kilometers, you really have to have the stamps. You have to have 2 stamps a day to prove that you were like walking it, you know, that you were doing the
You have
steps.
to stop in to get it.
Yeah.
Who do you prove it? What do you mean, who do you prove it to?
So then at the end, you go in Santiago, you go to get your like certificate to say you finished it. If you want that, I did it because it was there and it was free. But you have to show them the passport, and then you can say like I started here, and then they'll write like where you started and your finished date. But it's the last 100 kilometers are what you need to prove you did if you want to get that certificate. So I did 800 some kilometers. It didn't matter that I did that for the certificate. But at the end, it gets a lot more crowded with people. So for those last 100, there were a lot of people, even on the Del Norte.
Do they all converge at that point for the last?
Yeah, you converge in the last
okay.
2 or 3 days, I felt like, which was really weird to have almost, there was like some parts where it was like a crowded, like a traffic jam of pilgrims.
Weird.
Yeah, it was really weird.
Isn't it weird how you get used to a certain like amount of people or whatever, you know, language or like, and then suddenly you're like right back, and like within a month it sounds like where you're like, oh shit, I can't handle people right now.
Yeah, and I'm not like generally bothered by it, but I was just so used to being kind of really quiet and solo and yeah.
Damn. Could you follow the routes okay? Was it like mapped? Was it like marked trails?
Yeah. So the whole way you have, there's like these little shell signs that you can see, or yellow arrows. Mm-hmm. So you really don't have to look at your phone or
that
map.
would bug me to constantly. That's what I do on hikes too. I'm like going the right way. I'm going the right way, and then it's like annoying.
Very rarely. I would try really hard not to not look at my phone, because that's
Yeah, it takes you out of it.
yeah. So generally, anytime that I would be like, am I going the right way? If I just would like look up and look around, I would see an arrow and I'd be like, I'm good. And then there was a couple times that I didn't look, and then I'd be like, oh shit, I walked past, and then I would have to go back. But whatever, it wasn't like that big a deal.
Could you ask for directions?
Yeah, or like the very first day, the very first hour when I was in Arun, I was just like, I was very emotional that day, like starting, just because I was.
That's the first spot?
Yeah. And just like the anticipation of it. I mean, I had no idea how I was going to do walking this thing. And, you know, I'm by myself and just like, yeah. And this old man, this old boss man, he was like almost like, it's a hat, like really cute little guy. He got excited. He saw that I was a pilgrim. I mean, it's obvious, like you've got the pack on, you're starting. And he said, he was like kind of pointing. I knew I was going the right way, but he was pointing. And then he said, Buen Camino, which is what people say.
Have a nice walk.
Yeah. And I just started crying. And like his face was just like didn't know why. And I was like, just like the emotion and like talking to, like having one other person recognize what I was about to be doing was really intense. But yeah, people would give you directions. Generally, if a local saw that you were kind of, the cities were the hardest parts to navigate, because like you're in like all of a sudden you're just like, it's not Manhattan, but there was like some of the cities you'd be like right in like the downtown and it's chaotic and like people are going to work and doing this, and then you're like there with a backpack and you're walking.
They're not, the streets, as I'm assuming, are not super concerned with the people coming through.
Right.
They're probably like,
but
which way to downtown, which way
right.
to...
The signs would be a little bit smaller, you know. So that would, I felt like that would be the hardest parts, was the going through the cities.
Yeah. What would you have done differently now that you did it, if you had to do it again? Or regrets of not doing it? I don't know.
I think maybe slower. I don't.
Like taking scenery?
Yeah, and just maybe talk to more people. I think sometimes I got a little in my head and was like very like, I have things I got to think about, but like, you know, there's time to think about things. So you can like also talk to people. The times I would talk to people were like really like gave me life, you know, some of the locals. There was one time I had this amazing morning. I had woke up early. I was staying in a room by myself, and there was an extra like, it was supposed to be, what was it called? It was like this magical beach, and it was like an extra kilometer or two away from where I was staying, but I could go on that and then catch the trail. So I found it on a map and I kind of figured out how to do it. And I went there and I was by myself, and it was just epically beautiful, like the sun was rising. For a photographer, it was like the light was glowing. I was just like so happy. And then I walked and found the path and was walking for a while, and I hadn't had a coffee yet that morning for that. And then I found a cafe, and the woman was like really chatty with me. And then there was two local guys and they were chatty, and it was just like a magical morning because they were happy and it was just us. I was in their little morning routine, and I had this, I don't know, and they let me take their picture. And so those things, like kind of maybe I wish I would have learned a little more Spanish and talked to people a little bit more.
Yeah.
Tried. Yeah.
It's hard when there's a language barrier. It's hard enough just,
Yeah.
English speaking to meet people. But
Right.
then, like, with the language, I don't know.
But
Were
everyone
people
was just like,
interested in your story at all? Like, who are you? Where'd you come from?
yeah. So you would talk to other pilgrims, and you would share stories about like, you know, where you're from, what you're doing, why you're doing it, or just like, how many blisters do you have, or
Right.
where did you start? How many miles are you doing? it would just be
Probably same questions and answers.
yeah. The pretty but then you would have like longer if you would walk with someone a longer day, then you would have get into it like more life stuff. You would also like you'd start sharing like deep personal stuff about yourself while you're walking with a stranger who I'll never talk to again, but it's because you're just in this moment, and you also neither of you have anything else to be doing but walking. So it's not like you're keeping each other from anything, so you could just feel like you could just talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll wrap it up in a second.
Yeah.
This is a very cool trip, and it makes me want to do it. When you tell somebody, when somebody's like, "Oh, I heard you went on the Camino de Santiago," do you get like an image that pops into your head of what that was?
Yeah, I think maybe it's a feeling. It was a meditation of walking, and it was just like this like very the routine of it and the meditation, and so it's more just like that feeling is what I think of, and that's what I mean. I would do it again. I
Really?
would. Yeah.
That one?
Maybe I would branch out and do a different version of it.
Yeah.
But I would do it again because it was like as much as there was hard parts and really lonely parts, and my feet hurt, that meditation was really addictive. Like that feeling of just going, and the routineness. I think because my life too is like there's no routine in my life.
Yeah.
So that was just really appealing.
Interesting.
Yeah.
More routine.
Yeah.
Yeah, nobody understands like that it's like, well, you had the weekend off. And it's like that's not enough to really let your mind go fallow.
Yeah.
To really have an occasional talk, but generally like it's like in travel too, like they're like a week, and like no, right around 10, 11 days in is when I really start feeling unconnected with my past, and that's when I start feeling this way.
Right.
Relaxed. So it's like
35
and even days. How long was it?
5 weeks.
5 weeks.
Yeah. So even like the loneliness, like sitting in the loneliness and like just being like feeling it.
Yeah.
Was good.
Like too much at first, and then like, oh, I'm used to it now.
Yeah, and like learning to be okay with me, and then knowing what I needed was like, okay, now I need to talk to someone because that's what I need. But then I'll go back to this, and yeah, I don't know. It was not because I was forced to, but because like it just like it was a good learning experience. So I would suggest it to everyone. If you have time, you can do like. Just do portions. You don't, I would suggest at least 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Longer than the 100 kilometers, and like just try to go to the lesser crowded ones.
That's your vibe.
Yeah.
And you did some days where you're like, I'm not walking today. I'm just staying at the hostel. Or
there were select days. That was usually because like hurt my back, got a cold, was worried about being in a hostel.
Oh yeah, rain. What'd you do in the rain?
Oh, rain. There was rainy days, but I just walked. I don't think I ever stopped because of rain. Rain jacket, and you're just like, I'm wet now.
Right.
And then you, like a cover on the backpack, and then like once you get poured on, you're like,
you're just wet.
Yeah.
All right.
And you just keep walking. I mean, it's not great. It doesn't feel great, but the first time I got truly poured on, there was one time where it was just like, where you just soaked, except for the rain jacket, but like my pants, and I was like, just started laughing because I was like, this is, and then it was like storming, there was thunder, like like just crashing. I remember I was like I'm not like one to do like a lot of like videos of myself, but I think I was like doing a video like, oh, it's rain. It was like all of a sudden like this huge thunder clapped at the moment I was doing it. I was like,
cool.
Yeah. And then, you just kind of go with it. You lose all kind of like, you're not worried about how you look, how it's like whatever. And then, so I stopped because of that. I stopped, my feet hurt. And then one time I was like, wanted to like go shopping and buy like a couple little thing, like the hiking, like the tank top, or I don't know. I was just like, I'll just spend a day here. But there was probably only like a couple days in there that I took like a day off. So I think there was one day like I hiked all of 3 miles, and that was because was still getting over the cold. But otherwise, yeah, no, it was just like some walking every day. Yeah.
You were talking about that writing exercise of like reminding stuff. It just reminded me of like being in Indonesia and like being with this guy from Belgium. We're on like mopeds and just that pouring rain. And you just start laughing. It's that thing. You just start. It's so ridiculous.
Yeah.
And you're just like, it's my underwear's wet. It doesn't matter. And it's already wet. You're already in a pool.
Yeah. And there's
like, what is this?
Yeah. There was someone was like, "Oh, do you try and find a shelter?" I was like, "I'm walking." You know, I was trying to explain it to people, and I was like, "I was walking in a field. There's no shelter in a field. Like there's nothing to do. I had enough time from when I like felt the first drop. I had seen it getting darker, but I thought maybe I might have time.
Yeah.
And then I had enough time to like grab my jacket, put that on, put the cover on my backpack. But after that, it was like, oh no,
That's one thing I learned in Southeast Asia is like when you see the rain coming, just prepare.
Yeah.
Because once you're soaked, you can't unsoak. So like just put it on. If it passes, no big deal. You'll take your jacket off.
I do remember getting to the place I was staying that night, and I was so tired, and that it was I had a room by myself, and there was nowhere to eat. This hotel she did tell me a beer, which I was like, can I please have a beer? But then there was no food. And I happened to have a can of tuna and some old crackers that were like totally broken. And the place to eat was, I would have had to walk in the rain like another like 20 minutes and then walk back. And I was like, I can't. Like now I'm like dry. So like now I can't do that. So I just remember like having the tuna and like the broken crackers and put it in like the mug in the room and just like stirring it and eating it and just being like, this is actually pretty amazing. Like this is all I need. I just needed some substance and like I'm good.
I love like learning what will do for you.
Right.
You know?
I was like, this is good.
Fine. Yeah. Great. Bread, some sriracha. I'm solid.
Yeah. I there were a lot of just random meals like that I was like, yeah.
Damn, that sounds fucking cool. I want to do that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I try to do this segment, sort of, whatever, at the end of these.
Okay.
Give me a place that's gnawing on you that you want to go to.
Okay.
Mine is Guatemala right now. It's in my brain.
Yeah.
By the time this comes out, I'll have already been there. And then like a travel tip for everybody, especially since you're such an accomplished traveler.
I want to go to Western Africa.
Oh.
I don't know exactly where. I've been around Africa. Yeah, just somewhere around there. I've been to East Africa and South Africa and North Africa, but I haven't been to West Africa.
West Africa. Liberia? Places like that? Or no?
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
the French, that's like the French reasons. Yeah. I don't even know. Like, I don't know much about it. So it would be kind of, I need to research. I need to just go. And yeah, so there.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah. And then a tip. I think just be open. You're not at home. So it doesn't need to be like home. Just see how it is. Other places I think a lot of people are like,
yeah.
And
for sure.
It's
scary.
Like, yeah, you're not home. So it's different. Enjoy the different. That's the whole point of traveling.
Yeah, we talk about like it's an American thing to make reservations, and you're like,
right?
Because your restaurant was like it's open, it's like don't need a reservation. Yeah. Like what? I said just come by.
Or to like hurry when we were in Paris. You know, you want it like, why is it so slow? Why are they having us eat for? You know, it's like.
Yeah.
No, because you're supposed to enjoy your meal. Yeah. You're supposed to sit there and enjoy it.
Be open to a new way of.
Right.
Of like their way of doing whatever it is.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, it's hard. It's not always easy to fight what you've had, but even just like, I don't know, try everything you can try. There's nothing like a factoid kind of tip I have, but
no, that what you said is like be open.
Yeah,
that's a good one for sure.
Yeah, otherwise there's no point.
Yeah,
and so like I say yes to most everything, and I get lost whenever possible because you have your phone. You'll get back home. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you'll figure it out.
Yeah. But getting lost is just like, it's the most fun.
Yeah. People get so scared of that. Like, what if we get lost? And you like, they can't even comprehend that your reaction's like sick.
Yeah.
And you're like, what? No, it's a negative. Like, it's not a negative.
No.
You'll find some new street.
Right. And you just don't know. I did that in Morocco and Fez. Like, I just was like so excited about just walking, and people kept trying to like steer me back, the locals, and I'd be like, no, I want to get lost. And I try to do that wherever I am.
Yeah. Nice. All right. Hell yeah, Jasmin. Thank you.
Yeah.
I for sure want to do the Camino de Santiago
Yeah.
now. All right, everyone, subscribe and I don't know. Maybe we'll have merch by now. Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Oh, where can people find you? I'll say that.
Oh, Instagram, Jasmin Shah photo. Jasmin, no E, SHAH photo. Yeah.
Jasmin Shah photo. Okay. There'll be links to it in the
and
bottom.
My
whatever.
website, jasminshah.com. So.
Also, jasminshahphoto.com.
jasminshah.com. Yeah, that's
okay.
confusing. But yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, that's the episode, everybody. Thank you, Jasmin Shah, for coming and telling us about that. What a fucking cool trip, huh? God damn. If you just had a month, there's a way to do it. I'm on the Great Ocean Road right now. There's a hike you can do there. 100 kilometers. 100 fucking kilometers. I was like, I could do that. How long was that? 25 kilometers? 100 is like 60. It's like 8 miles a day. 5 days. You could do it in 7. Damn, if I had more time and the weather was a little nicer. The weather's fucking great. What are you talking about, complainer? One time when I was starting in comedy, I had this chick and I was like, went to the garlic restaurant one time. And I was like, if I had the money and the time, and they had this great bagna calda. It's $5. It was a side, just melted garlic, cloves, just like ready to be fucking touched and just like disintegrate. Oh, and they bring you free bread. You get it before your meal. We saved up once and I got it for like our anniversary or something. And then later I was talking about it was so good, the garlic rose, the stinking rose. And I was like, when I get more successful, if I had the time and money, I would go there fucking every day. She goes, Ari, you're a stand-up comedian. You have all day at home. You write an hour a day. You sit at home for fucking 8 hours watching videos and shit, talking to your friends, smoking weed. Like, you have the time, and it's literally $5. Like, oh, yeah. I guess it's just on me, the excuse now, then. Whoa. Jasmin Shah, what a fucking cool photographic journey. Go to jasminshah.com. On Instagram at Jasmin Shah Photo. Is that it? We'll do an insert if I'm wrong. Next week, Matt McCusker. Guys, wherever you're listening, I heard they don't suggest these on Spotify. People tell me, like, I didn't know I had a new episode for fucking, 4 weeks they missed them. Guys, subscribe. And so it'll tell you when there's a new episode, which will be next Monday, and it'll be the fucking wizard, Matt McCusker, talking about taking us to Brazil. Is that our first South? No, we've had some South American ones. It's our first Portuguese-speaking one. Subscribe wherever you are. I will be talking about this trip on the Patreon. The Great Ocean Road. That'll be this week's Patreon. Maybe some pictures in there. Patreon.com/You Be Trippin. That's it, you guys. Subscribe wherever you're at. I'm going to be in, where is this, Monday? Brisbane and Sydney is all I got left for my whole tour. Brisbane at the QPAC, something like that. And Sydney at the Enmore Theatre. 2 shows, second show added. Brisbane show's almost sold out. There will be no second show. And then, fucking, I got a lot to tell you guys. But anyway, that's it. Subscribe, listen. Thank you guys for tuning in. Fucking leave a comment. Tell us your favorite experience. If you've done the Camino de Santiago, fucking cool. You know who else did it? Michelle Wolf. She ran it. I'm going to get her in to talk about her. You can compare the two. That's what this podcast is all about. And travel. Guys, thank you very much for tuning in. I'm Shaffir. Till next week. Wait. Ciao, I know this one. This is Spanish. I don't know Catalan, but Bonote. No, that's Portuguese. Well, I know how to say goodbye. Adios. Stupid. That was an easy one. Watch this. If you think it's a green screen, watch this. Wait, I'm gonna mess up these fucking ferns. Idiot, do it. Oh, they're mostly air. Make a fucking something. Well, you saw it. Anyway, goodbye.